Welcome to Avoiding Business Owner Burnout, When to Ask for Help.
Feeling burnt out or overwhelmed becomes a possibility when you have more and more on your plate as your business grows. Now, what is burnout? Burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. Who does it affect? 42% of business owners report experiencing burnout in the last month. Now, why does this matter? Burnout can lead to personal and professional dissatisfaction, social isolation, relationship problems, depression, and more symptoms that make it hard for you to continue having a fruitful business or career. Why are leaders afraid to ask for help? A majority of leaders don't ask for help because they feel they should have all the answers. It demonstrates weakness, or because they feel like everything is their responsibility. But burnout doesn't need to happen. With proper planning, support, and resources, you can grow a business or career sustainably. Now, here are some key indicators that you are growing and ready to take the next step. When your customer base doubles, when your visibility as a business expands, when you feel overwhelmed or close to burnout, you are trying hard to picture the next step. Let's talk about one of the most common indicators, when your company doubles in size. Now, what can that look like? You have been going at this solo for some time. You feel some of these tasks need to be on someone else's plate. They start out as small ones, such as replying to certain kinds of emails, paying certain bills, making a few social media posts. Yet as more potential work comes in, task delegation is not enough. You now need to look at role delegation. Your one-person business slowly becomes two, then four, then an eight-person business. And each of these people plays a key role that they also need to focus on to keep your business running smoothly. This is when bringing in outside help or resources can be vital in taking your next big step. All right, now Michelle will talk to us a little bit about becoming a stronger leader.
Thanks, Sayla. So, in case you weren't sure why you were here today, I will assume you are here today because you have a vision for your business and your organization. You are a leader with conviction, whatever your title may be. And of course, we know titles don't actually make a leader. Your vision and your commitment will guide you in your decision making. It will help you prioritize what roles you need support in. It will also help you set boundaries, those boundaries of time, energy, and capacity. Let's look at the resources you can lean into. Are you feeling stuck or unable to picture that next step? Maybe you can lean into a business coach or a business consultant. Are you feeling overwhelmed? Is there a mentor that maybe you can connect to in your industry or a networking group in your area, be that virtual or in person? Someone you can lean on. Has your visibility in your business expanded? Think of PR and marketing. And has your customer base doubled? This is where process and procedure are so important, as well as a strong and reputable customer experience. What if your company size doubles? This is a perfect time to improve your business workflows and organize your business systems. Let's look at maybe here as a organizational consultant to support you, or a system strategist, or yes, an IT consultant as well. Muted.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Now let's do a quick check-in with our audience. So, have any of you sat down this year and worked on a vision for your business? You can quickly just put a yes or no in the chat. We'll give a second for everyone to answer. I see Eva said a little. That's good. Any visioning process is great. It's the first step. All right. So, the reason we ask this is because before you can bring in extra resources, it is vital to have a clear vision for your business, whether for just the next year or next 5 or 10 years. So, next, our speakers will be sharing their personal stories of expanding their business visions.
Thanks, Hale. So maybe you don't know, but we have been in business 26 years plus. And as you can imagine, during that big period, there's been many times of growth, expansion, and contraction, because that's how it goes, including lots of it depends on local dynamics from your economy to your talent pool to many other factors, or your internal talent pool, which if it's just yourself, then obviously that would be a huge factor. But we've also always kept an eye on the vision. And part of that vision is knowing that you need to redefine it, where you are in life, where you are as a business founder or a leader, to be part of that re-envisioning. So we did 5 years ago, and then we did again in 2024, because this is what you need to keep doing to continue with growth and sustainable growth. As you can imagine, also being a small business, one of my hats that I was doing solo was social media and our marketing. But then at one point that becomes really difficult to wear so many hats and do it well. This is also when I decided that I needed to bring in a marketing consultant. Um, and this is a great area to think about when a marketing consultant can work specifically on strategies and on very specific campaigns. So on our 25th anniversary campaign, I brought in Teresa, who's here today. And we thought about obviously our budget, like every good business owner or leader should be thinking about. So how can we make it work? Every year is a little different. So this was a very important milestone. We decided on a 3-month contract that would fit perfectly into our yearly budget. But this would result in outcomes. And some of those outcomes were specifically client engagement and also growing that relationship with those clients. And also our team learning how to run effective marketing campaigns in the future. Take it all away, Teresa.
Thank you, Michelle. And thanks everybody for showing up today. I know it's your lunch hour. So what I'd like to tell you a little bit about this story was how I started to network here in the Bay Area for my other jobs in corporate America, as Selah had mentioned. And I started to understand a lot of women of color were wanting to move away from a side hustle, or that they were interested in how they could build their business. So I started to pick up a couple of freelance opportunities, and my opportunities became more consistent. And that's when I decided to walk away from just giving advice and helping, folks into this is becoming a viable opportunity to start a business. And that's where I saw that I could grow a business into a practice. And that's where I started to put the business plan together, the business strategy, the bank account, all the things, the EIN number, and to file to become a legit business. I felt like if I'm going to talk the talk to someone, I have to walk the walk as well. So after becoming a full licensed business, and also incorporating a podcast to build my brand, because I had been in marketing in corporate America and I'd done some research into the opportunity of expanding another marketing opportunity channel for small businesses. I did a lot of research and said, how do I make this investment? As Michelle has said, you really have to look at the numbers and to see where this would be an opportunity. Again, I am just a business marketing strategist, consultant, technology, kind of strategist for your business, for small businesses. I'm not an audio engineer or a web designer. So as I wanted to create a launch for my business, because I was getting inquiries into how I could help other women of color in their business, I brought in a web designer and an audio engineer because they have the expertise, and I was able to leverage their expertise into the projects that I started to pick up. And as Michelle mentioned, for their 25-year anniversary, we decided to strategize across their technology platforms. We decided to build their brand so that they could engage more with their clients by doing a podcast, which you can listen to, and it can be presented to you after this webinar. And also just to bring in a little more understanding of where the clients were in their relationship with Proactive Network. So it was a little bit of strategy consulting into how they could grow the business with those customers. And then also they were redesigning their website. So how could we create more touch points for them to capture more of who was looking at them? And then also how would they build more communication strategies with their content writers and web developers themselves.
Thank you, Teresa.
Yep.
So now we're going to get into how our speakers' businesses are examples of resources to other small businesses as they explain how they provide support to their clients. First up is Michelle telling us a little bit about Proactive Network Consulting.
Thanks, Selah. And thanks, Teresa. So what would you say? As IT consultants, that we are specifically of small businesses, we do have a very unique perspective. We have insights into our clients' feel and what is impeding them from realizing their vision. Here are a few insights. To enable continual growth. Again, so I'll go back here to process and procedure. It is very special to me, as that is my background. And that'll be another story, another webinar. But process and procedure is usually very much stuck in the founder's head, right? You know it, you know how things need to get done, you know how to run the business. When you're a solopreneur, that can work, usually okay. Although it's still better written down, but you can make it, and you can maybe even make it work for two people, right? So two people's, everything's in their head. As you grow, you need to get everything down in paper. Every single little activity of your business needs to be written down as a procedure, including from how you pay your vendors to how you onboard your staff, because you're grown, remember, so you're going to be adding more staff. So now this is a whole nother realm that you have to organize and develop. And also to how you onboard your new clients or customers, if that's the area you're growing quickly in. I'll get back to that. So let's first talk about onboarding your staff. So let's say now it's doubled your business, whatever that number may look like. And as it doubles with staff, that means the HR tasks, the human resource tasks also keep growing. But maybe you're able to keep track of them well enough with a very simple checklist, especially the state mandated forms that you need to turn in. We all have those per state and federal, and they give us a little checklist online. So that's usually enough, but there's so much more to onboarding a staff other than government forms. You want to make sure that you impact their experience as well as staff. And maybe you've heard or read somewhere that if you do a really good job onboarding your staff, they're happier. And if you retain them, you're also going to save money because retaining is less expensive than rehiring. So let's get back to onboarding this staff member. Let's assume they're also this remote worker. Here's where I come in. Again, as my background is strong in process and procedure, this is something that I make sure is done within our IT company, with internal as well as external, how we support. So when we onboard a client, we make sure there is an onboarding procedure for their employees. And what can that look like for an IT onboarding procedure? That looks like, okay, so what is their hardware that you want to cross for all your staff? Their software, their file access, especially if they are doing something like HR, there is very sensitive information. So you want to make sure only the correct people are in that folder or the hierarchy of folders, depending how you do that. And then, part of that little onboarding procedure can be like, what font do you like? Did you actually think about it? And do you have a branded font to make sure that is across all your documents? And we can set that up across documents like Word or your emails. Organizational development, systems, company culture, etc. There are so many areas that you need support in, or maybe just fine tuning, especially as you're starting to grow maybe into the next phase, the 10 to 40 employees. You've bumped it up now, right? Now you probably already have developed those roles, but if you did it quickly, maybe you didn't quite fine tune it. And so it needs a little help and more support with fine tuning. And so you can still bring in here a specialized consultant to help you develop those systems. They would be very supportive in this area. But let's say during this time and phase, your tech also would have developed and expanded really, really quickly. Then you need to go back and see, okay, so I have all this new tech. I threw it all in at the business. I have so much of it. I think it should be working great, but not necessarily. Because now you need to ask yourself, well, is that tech integrated and is it supportive of the systems you actually have in your business? And one also a lot of people don't think about, is it actually part of your company culture? Now, what do I mean by that, company culture? So how does tech matter? Well, how are you communicating with the technology you do have? Is that technology working for you? Are you mostly an email and text kind of company? Maybe you added a Slack channel and then left it there. That's it, done. But then you need to ask again, is this amount of communication actually connected and supporting your staff? These are things that I definitely place very high on my priority list. Everyone should be feel seen and heard. From your remote work environment is so much more important. So this is really where you need to think about strategy to support those remote workers. How do you do this? Well, you can survey your staff. You can do a formal survey, depending how large your business is, or you can ask them, is this working for you? Do you feel supported with what we're using in-house? Is that Slack channel organized well enough that you know where to go? It's not just about throwing up a channel. It is about how you organize it for different topics. And maybe this is, a conversation that needs to happen in your team. And how often do you communicate with your teammates? This is how an IT company can support you. When we onboard our clients, we do send out initial assessment. We ask these questions of the users, and users within our clients means their staff. Unfortunately, that's what we call them. Users is just because they use a device. It's lingo. So we ask them, what are their needs? How are they communicated? How are they feeling supported? Because that will give us insights, how we can support the business, then support their staff. As well as a survey, we do video intro calls to give also the staff an opportunity to ask us questions. What is it their needs could be? And then following up that is one-on-one calls with the engineers. So as you see, IC is essential. Everyone is seen and heard. And that also includes our customer experience, or maybe your customer experience. Ask yourself, has it kept up with your client case load that has doubled? What workflows actually might need changing? And what tools are keeping all the moving parts organized? Have you accumulated too many tools and feel stretched to manage them? And of course, I know you've been such amazing listeners of your staff and your clients. And hopefully you haven't been going solo doing all that. You've had some support system there, because we want to definitely avoid burnout. If we can be a support or a resource for you, please reach out to us. Including one of the things that we thought that would be really beneficial to all of us business owners, is to have that list. What are these great referrals of different coaches and consultants out there? We'd love to get this in your hands. So please reach out to us. And one easy way is direct messaging us on any of our channels, and our marketing team will follow back up with you. And as well as Selah will tell you a little more about that at the end.
All right. Thank you, Michelle. Now we will have Theresa tell us a little about what she provides for her clients.
Thanks, Ayla. So this picture is really interesting to me. It was a couple of years ago, when about a year after I launched, and I started to think about why I went this avenue to build a brand for the business. And again, small businesses really rely on referrals. If you work with somebody, they'll tell somebody else in their network, and they'll reach out to you. And that's a great way to kind of keep the business going. But what I found out is that you also need to bring in new folks into your business, and also build your brand, right? Develop that marketing strategy. And so what I had done for myself, which I kind of replicate with a couple of clients, is to bring in that branding awareness, design a marketing strategy, and then kind of give a playbook as to what to follow over the next few, the year or those few months moving ahead. So it's almost like I design a plan for you, as I've done for myself before I got to this point. Also, is to say, here's what I want to do to get to this point, to build a brand, to gain more referrals and customers, but also to build, my email marketing list, my newsletter, build the communication channels of marketing. And once that happens, small businesses need the technology to run all this information. You cannot have a business without this. And so what I do is I kind of do a technology review with you, and understanding how your marketing strategy, or how you're marketing your business, connects to a sales strategy, because marketing and sales go together. And that brings up another point that A lot of small business owners or solopreneurs, they hate thinking about, oh, I have to do quote unquote sales. But what you're doing is you're building relationships, and they see value into wanting to work with you. It's just a business term. And I think a lot of people get hung up on, I have to do sales. But that's how you build your revenue streams, to understand where you can develop more in your business to keep those customers wanting to work with you. Technology, again, is the facilitator of this, facilitating on the front end of the business versus the back end. So I want to just bring up that point real quick about what I do to understand and work with clients, is to say, I work with you in the marketing and sales strategy and understand your systems. Whereas Michelle, she was not very solid in that space when I came on board. As you heard her say, they're very proficient in the back end of the business, which is supporting their customers through IT. Their clients are mostly back end security, type businesses that to protect client data, as we all do. But their accounting firms, real estate, their base has a lot of back office systems that they support their smaller clients and then also bigger clients. So if you see the trade-off here, that's where I want to help small businesses with the marketing strategy, understanding how marketing and sales come together to kind of help you develop and see the bigger vision, the vision that you have in growing your business. And then once I sit down and we talk about your business, I want to see, where are your customers engaging with you mostly? Where do your customers live today? We look at all your socials, we look at your email, your events, all your things that bring in information about your customers. And I also ask you, what is the profile of the customer that you're looking at? What is the industry that you're going after? As Michelle and her clients work together, they have a very definitive industry profile of clients that they go after, and so do I. Mine is just women with small businesses, because what I know is that technology can be overwhelming, and I have been in the technology space in this specific area to help customers and clients, is what I'm going to say, grow their business and understanding marketing and sales and how they go together. Now, in this picture, again, the brand development for me took some time, and I needed to outsource folks that could help me develop my vision into executing on the growth of bringing in new clients, and also the podcast, also industry events. This is where I talk to you about, where are you showing up where your clients are? Are you creating a story and narrative that is going to build a trust in your business to the client? Do they understand what you do? It is not transactional. Transactional versus building relationships are two different strategies of business. There's direct to consumer, which is, I'm going to buy some cookies off your website. Thank you very much. I gave 5 of those cookie packages to my clients, and that's all I do. Thank you. I love your cookies. Whereas brand development in relationship strategy and how you want to keep providing a service takes a little bit more time, and relationship and how you develop those comms channels is very important. So I see I also look, as I was saying earlier, I look at your existing tool set, and that means the technology. What are you using on the front end, for sales and marketing? And also, how is that connected to your back office? Because everything should also reflect into an accounting system, because that's where you're going to see that over time, who's been your client with the most products and services they've been working with you by paying you monthly, or is it by project? So that you can use those data points, which I also say is, how do you leverage that into growing your business and to strategize for the upcoming years? Or do you need to build a new product strategy or service strategy? Or do you build a partnership that can help you grow your business? So these are the things that I provide in the business. And I also outsource very highly skilled folks that can help me build the projects with my clients. So thank you. And I have to say, I'm very proud of that booth, by the way. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Teresa. It looks very cool. Very well designed. All right. Now let's get into our wrap up and a little summary of what we've covered today. So, today we talked about how there's a lot of great resources available for small businesses, from coaches to mentors to other B2B style businesses. Um, and your relationship with these businesses doesn't have to be a long term commitment, it's whatever your business needs in this moment. But also, once you've established that relationship, you have an ally for whenever you need those services again in the future. You know, you can depend on them, you know that they know your business well. And most importantly, now you get to focus on what you truly love for years to come. You don't have to worry about becoming overwhelmed and burnt out and no longer loving running your business. Instead, you get to allow other people to be the expert in their industry and you get to be the expert in yours. So I hope everyone's enjoyed our presentation today. Thank you everyone for joining us. Now, if you would like to contact either of our speakers, here are QR codes that you can scan that will bring you to all of their resources, their website, their socials, and any other points of contact. So thank you so much. While I give you a chance to scan those QR codes and check out what our speakers have, here's just a quick reminder that we'll be sending everyone a follow-up email with the recording of this presentation so you can watch back whenever you want, as well as a great list of resources that we personally recommend, such as consultants, coaches, and other B2B vendors. Now, for anyone who has some extra time to stick around, we wanted to open up the floor to a conversation with everyone. So first, let's get a little bit of feedback from all of you guys. So you can either throw your answers in the chat or unmute yourself and speak. So first question is, did today's presentation spark any new ideas for anyone, or did you learn something new today? So I'll give you a second to answer that.
They can raise their hand in the Zoom as well, right? To be let off mute.
Okay. Does anyone have any responses? Any reflections? Also, does anyone have any personal stories about their business's growth?
Daisy, did you want to speak about what you learned today? We can take you off mute, or yeah, you can come off mute.
Yeah, I think it was really interesting to hear you talk about like how you look at clients to really like set goals. So that's something I'm trying to understand right now. So that was helpful to just kind of evaluate your different clients and through events and through other things like that, and to really help you, because that's something that we're struggling with right now too.
Very nice. I'm glad that we were able to give you some new insights today. Does anyone have any questions for either of our speakers? You can throw them in the chat or also speak.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'd love to what do you call it, work with other people and bring on help, but it's kind of finding the funding to do it. Like, do you have any tips on funding help?
I'll jump in a little bit on that. There is actually quite a good amount of grants out there for small businesses. Like if you're like obviously until your income catches up to add on all these other resources. Do definitely look at small business grants, including with the state small business administration. They have, and I've been recipient at one point of that as well from at the state level, the small business organization. So always look at that as an option, and as well as nonprofits. And then obviously there's loans, but we want to do those last. Thanks for that, Eva.
That was a good question, because a lot of people struggle with the funding, especially folks of color, and should I get a loan versus how do I get a grant? And there's a lot of information that's required. So if your business, I'm just going to chime in a little bit, if your business is set up correctly, which I've looked at, and you have your accounting and your finance together, just for whatever you have within your first or second year, because they do ask you for that information. They will look at that and all the requirements to see if you're qualified for that. And it's a good thing that you mentioned that, Michelle, because I'm actually in the process of also being certified as a minority business, a woman-owned business. And that allows you to also get bigger contracts. So that's also something you might want to look at, to help you also network within, the SBA and other chambers, to get, funding for you, or to at least share in some contracts, that you can put on the books to say, I have some money coming this way, and this is what I'm able to do for this year.
If you could
That's-
expand a little bit on that, Teresa, somebody is asking about
Yeah,
that
so where you
application
can,
process.
yeah, so you just go to the sba.gov and you look under small business, minority owned business, but also your Chamber of Commerce has all that information as well. So if you're a licensed business, they will point you in that direction, and they will, kind of set you on the path. But the sba.gov is the first place to go. And then, because that's available to everybody. And then, but working with the chamber, they usually have classes, and sometimes they'll set someone up with you to make sure that you can work on that process.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
and definitely
go
reach
ahead.
out
Mhm.
if you're interested a little more on info for what the chamber is available. I am an ambassador for the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce. And I can
Woo
look further
woo.
into that. I can look further, definitely see what's going on. Every year is different, right? So that's why you do have to check every single year. Like, what are the new grants out there? Who are they for? What are they listed under? It is like, a lot like scholarship application for college. It's a good amount of research. But again, there is money that goes unclaimed. So we want to make sure we get it in your hands. I'll help.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of resources out there. I've even seen, I think some larger corporations will do grants for small businesses as well. I saw one, I think it was a bank maybe, that does like I think maybe, I might be wrong, but I think American Express does like a yearly small business. They have like a whole program, and then they also have a website with other like resources and stuff.
Yeah. It depends on the type of business that you are as well. Um, if you're an e-commerce business, right, that you're in the local community, if you're doing, services in the community, they really like that. And as you said, Selah, sometimes those business grants that they give you are really small, but maybe they'll help you get to the next kind of, I want to say milestone of what you need to get done. But the whole point is to have the information ready and available to show that you do have momentum, and that you do have support in the community. And I would say B2B businesses are a little bit longer, because they want to know like what your forecast is, right? Are you forecasting? And that's a whole other webinar and things that I could help with as well, because they want to see that you're actually going out there and doing marketing and doing business development, and starting to see that you can do these, that you can actually do the business, because they're not going to give money to somebody just for, the heck of it. They have to see that you are, building momentum, and that you do have to be in business for, a couple of years. And they do want to look at the revenue. So I think that's the best I can do right now for that information. But Michelle is there at the SF Chamber, and she's a point of contact that could do that.
Oh, I see a couple things in the chat, Sayla.
Okay, give me a second.
Rob has a question. You can unmute yourself, Rob.
Hello, everybody. I
Hello.
just also wanted to touch on the importance. I'm Teresa's audio engineer, and I must say the process of getting her consultation and getting her advice on several systemizations, and the process of setting up the back end of your business and your workflow and project management is a huge point to touch before you get into the financial side of things. Because once you have, like Michelle was saying, once you start to develop that back end so you can get the funding to then bring in people, that was an important part that was part of my puzzle that Teresa brought to my table. And I'm very thankful for those kind of guidance tools that she's delivered in onto my side of things.
Thanks, Rob.
Okay, now now I can see the chat. Let's see what else people were asking about.
There was some resource Jenna suggested.
Yes, Jenna said signing up for nonprofit newsletters is a great way to receive information without looking for it and stay connected to most recent grants. That's a great suggestion. Okay, and then did anyone else have any more questions?
Yeah, I can answer the self-care. I think Michelle's really good at that too, Jenna. Is what I like to say with some, when I actually talk on the podcast, right? Because as a small business owner, especially if you're outsourcing, like I have Rob and I, contract other people because you can't do it all yourself. I think we tend to just go, 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 go. And what I have said in the podcast and also just in general is like, even elite athletes, because you are performing at a very high level that most people never get to, that you need to rest. Even elite athletes need to rest. They need to slow down, take a break, and just reflect on the vision that they're going to do to perform well. So I always say, think of yourself as an elite athlete, which I do. And sometimes, they get burnt out and they get very stressed as well because they're not performing well. And then they have to take a step back. So that I ran into that this year, which is why I'm talking about how I needed to bring in additional resources and to really put in more processes because I am growing and I am also working with a lot of people. So the self-care, I think, is really just, shut down for a little bit. The work will still be there. The work will still be there. It's like, just take a rest, go for a walk, or just, I always say, just go out for a cup of coffee and don't bring your phone for a half an hour or so, or even, if you can do a day, that would be awesome. But yeah, that's my self-care tip. I don't know. Michelle probably has some good ones too.
No, you definitely got that right on for sure. Walks are the healthiest and the cheapest. So there you go. They are free. And research does show that 20 minutes of walking actually does bring down your cortisol. And it has to be 20 minutes continuous. So that's my tip for today. All you need is 20 minutes to continuous walking and come back in and get back to work.
Yeah. Yeah, Rob brings up a good question, and that's why we're here. It's you step outside of your friends and family and to do networking. That's how I met Michelle. That's how I met Daisy. You find the events that people are gathering at so that you can have a conversation and to really get to know them, right? Yeah, there's meetups in every single location, events that are free. I know Daisy, she is an awesome event planner in her community around ed tech, and people show up. And I think Rob has been there too. So you just have to go outside there and start talking to people and follow up with them. That's the most important thing, is to follow up. And here we go into LinkedIn, email, have them sign up for your newsletter, listen to your podcast. Hello, Latinas B2B.com. That's my podcast. Just doing a shameless plug right now. And, get the information that you need to kind of keep in touch, so that when you see him again, it's a developing relationship. And it's hard when you're like, oh, I don't really like to go and network. Sometimes, you get shy, but that's what you got to do sometimes is step into the arena, to step outside your box, because you never know, you'll get some great ideas when you connect with other people.
So before we're out of time, I definitely want to, whoever here, definitely small business owners, Small Business Week is coming up in a couple months. Keep an eye on that for your local chambers, whoever that may be. And it's a great opportunity to promote your business.
Yep.
So each chamber is doing it a little different. There's a national week, and then your local one may do it a slightly different week. So it may be in April versus May, but keep an eye on that for the spring and start getting ready. Get involved, show up to all the events, show up to different chamber events. And so be part of that. Don't miss out.
Awesome. And you can sign up for both of our newsletters, right? Because Michelle is part of the chamber, so I'm sure she's going to have that on her newsletter and be promoting the event, as well as, other, networking events that I'll be putting on my newsletter. So there's loads of information between the both of us.
Definitely. Yeah, if
Yeah.
you follow the Proactive QR code, you'll be able to find the sign up for our newsletter. And we have plenty of more small business tips, but as well as technology tips that can be applied to a small business. Okay, so I think I'll start wrapping up here unless anyone has a super urgent question. But yeah, we'll be following up with an email so you can, if you missed anything today, rewatch this, share it with somebody maybe. And then we'll be sending you guys a list of some resources, some really great other kind of B2B businesses that we know and we love and that we've also used in the past. So thank you again, everyone, for coming. And I think that'll be all for today.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.